Stacy Lynn Harp is coaching with heart. Thank you for listening to this audio presentation. To learn more about Stacy and her coaching services, visit stacylharp.com. That's STACYL harp.com.
Welcome everybody to this edition of Coaching with Heart. Today we're going to be looking at normal fear versus abnormal fear. As you know, we've been talking about that. We've been talking about fear and its consequences and the different things that we encounter. Yesterday we talked about panic and phobia. Today we're just going to do a short compare and contrast here on normal fear versus abnormal fear. Our scripture is 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5, which says, "We are destroying speculations and every lofty thing raised up against the knowledge of God, and we are taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ." And so let me read today. Let me say a couple of things. First of all, God gave us the ability to be afraid for a reason. In some circumstances, our fear is a good thing. This is a good thing. Fear can be a very good thing. We're not talking about the fear of the Lord either. That's a different type of fear. The type of fear we're talking about is the fear that will protect us, right? And I think this is why some people don't necessarily always see fear as a bad thing. In fact, it's interesting because our culture, even that TV show quite a while ago called Fear Factor. Well, what was the point of that show? The point of that show was to basically have people face fears of whatever their phobia was. I mean, like whether it was being immersed in an aquarium of tarantulas or something. It was basically to show people that people would go ahead and conquer their fear. They'd face their fear if they were rewarded with like a lot of money. See, money is a motivator, but anyway. But staying alive is also a motivator. So God didn't give us the emotion of fear so that it could be detrimental to us. He gave us the ability or the instinct to be able to protect us. So like, for example, if somebody were, let's say you were I have so many ideas going through my mind, but let's say you were the victim of carjacking. Let's say somebody came and you were driving your car and some assailant came and they decided that they were going to try to break into your car and hijack you. What would you do? Well, instantly, if you're normal, you would feel afraid. And then what would happen? You would go ahead, you would have increased heart rate, which would give you the ability to take immediate action. Your muscles would get stronger. You would just instantly jump into action. Your adrenaline would start pumping. And that is because you would ultimately, at the core of it, you would be afraid. So sometimes when we're afraid of things, it's a good thing. For example, have you ever been somewhere at night and you're a little apprehensive? Well, why would you be apprehensive? That is a type of fear, to be apprehensive. That type of fear would tell you that you need to make sure that you're going to proceed with caution. And have you ever been hyper alert? That is also a type of a fear because it means that you're very aware. Your increased awareness of danger. And so these type of things, if your pupils have been dilated, that can increase your vision, especially at night. Your senses are heightened. And let's say you are talking more. Many of these things can be indicators of fear. Because you're trying to become more aware of what's going on. You're trying to aid in communicating the problem, like by talking more, and all of that. So you've heard numerous stories of men and women who have done extraordinary things, and it's been ultimately because of the normal fear that God has given us, the reaction to the situations. Now, abnormal fear is when we take similar things that God has given us and they get magnified. So when abnormal fear exists, the level of fear is way out of proportion to the actual situation. In fact, in many cases, as we discussed with our phobias, it could be completely unrelated to the situation. And I cited in my email to you today Psalm 55, verses 4 to 7, as an example of somebody who could be have an abnormal fear, which would be the following this. My heart is in anguish within me. The terrors of death assail me. Fear and trembling have beset me. Horror has overwhelmed me. I said, oh, that I had the wings of a dove, I would fly away and be at rest. I would flee far away and stay in the desert. This is the person who is afraid. So let me go through a list, and again, let me thank June Hunt for her material here in her biblical coaching keys. Let me give you a list of characteristics of abnormal fear. So, for example, chest pain or discomfort. And what she says here is a person experiences a panic attack when 4 or more of the following symptoms occur. And when it reaches a peak within 10 minutes or less. So basically, the next things I'm going to read, if you have 4 or more of these, then basically you're dealing with abnormal fear. Okay, so chest pain or discomfort, feeling like you're going to have a heart attack. Chills or hot flashes, feeling like you must get to the hospital. We're not talking menopause here, just so you know. Choking sensation, difficulty swallowing, feeling like your throat is closing in on you. Cold hands, tingling sensation, feeling like you're going numb. Detached sensation, feeling like you're losing touch with reality or yourself. Dizziness or lightheadedness, feeling like you're going to faint. Fear of losing control, feeling like you're going to go crazy. Hyperventilating, shortness of breath, feeling like you are smothering. Nausea, diarrhea, or abdominal pain, cramping, feeling like you have a life-threatening disease. Rapid heart rate, pounding heartbeat, feeling like your heart is going to jump out of your chest. Sweating, excessive perspiration, feeling like you're a huge embarrassment. Fear of dying, feeling like you are going to die, and trembling or shaking, feeling like you are doomed. People with abnormal fear are not as afraid of the object of their fear as they are of the symptoms of their fear. And indeed, their fear is great. They experience the same feelings that Job had. In Job chapter 30, verse 15, it says, terrors overwhelmed me. My dignity is driven away as by the wind. My safety vanishes like a cloud. Well, in Job's case, you can totally understand his fear, though, because he had a lot of reasons to feel fear. So, so today, that's basically what I want to look at. It's just a couple of differences here between normal fear and abnormal fear, and just encourage you to examine what it is that you struggle with. And don't forget, there are many, many, many passages of Scripture that you can look up and you can read and memorize in order to aid you in your struggles with fear. And I hope and pray that you do that.
Thank you for listening to this audio presentation. To discover more resources from Stacy Lynn Harp, clinically trained marriage and family therapist and biblical coach, visit StacyLHarp.com. That's STACYL Harp.com. Coaching with Heart.